Police officers, what's the dumbest thing you have ever seen a criminal do or say? These are my pants, but those are not my pockets. Can't make this shit up. Oh my god, lol. What did you say in response? I was so new at the time. I didn't have a witty response. I just chuckled and kept searching him. I think what he meant to say everything in his pockets, cigarettes, ID, lighter, keys, were all his, but the baggie of math was not. But who am I to make assumptions? The man said they were not his pockets, so they were not his pockets. Lol. Friend's daughter and daughter's boyfriend get busted with a kilo of weed. Friend's daughter says, "Oh, we were not going to smoke it. We were going to sell it." Lol, that's pretty dumb. A kilo would be a stretch for even Snoop Dogg to claim personal use. At that point does not really matter what she said. DUI trial, defendant chooses to represent herself. She tries to introduce evidence during the trial, but is quickly blocked by the prosecution. The judge, maybe taking pity on the flaming train wreck that was this woman's defense, asks to see the evidence. It was a receipt from the bar she left before I stopped her that showed that she purchased a large margaritas. Her whole defense was, "I could not have been drunk after only 2 margaritas." She was found guilty. My initial reason for stopping her was that she drove down an embankment on the side of the road to get to a McDonald's drive-thru. Retired cop here. Boy, do I have stories. One dumbass move a guy did was he steal some poor girl's car. It was her first car. She worked full-time, was a sweet little thing, and we felt so bad. She was crushed. Also in the car for some reason was her cell phone. So a colleague who has the gift of talking shit really well calls the number. Dude answers. It goes a little something like this. "Cop, motherfucker, you stole my girlfriend's car." Bad guy. "Bitch, I will fuck you up then fuck your bitch." "Cop, bring it motherfucker." "No cops, no friends. Me and you, I am at the Chevron on Main Street and 5th. Pussy, I am calling your bitch ass out." Bad guy. "Bitch, I am on my way." Click. Me, "No fucking way has coming." Dude rounded the corner and pulls into the gas station. We hid our cars behind it, and then when he parked we boxed him in. He had a gun too. Fucking idiot. On probation. Had a loaded gun. Came to us. New story. Okay, I will give you all another. This one was kinda circumstance that involved me. Lol. So working one busy Saturday night, there was a huge brawl with about 20 bros in front of a club. You know, affliction shirts, to pouch shirts and Monster Energy hats with flat bills galore. Lol. So we get there and start grabbing dudes, searching real quick, then stuffing them in the nearest car, then jumping back into the fray because we were fighting with them too. So it all dies down and immediately we get a call. I forget what it was, but we gotta go, lights and sirens to it. I run to my car. Nobody in it. Sweet, I get to go. So I jump in my car and I am hauling ass lights and siren to this new call for a few mins. A paxing turns it's to a M and foggy, not really anyone on the roads. Remember that, to a M and foggy. So I am rolling down this street in the fog with my lights and siren, and I see an object with a hoodie on its head slowly slide up behind me in my rear view. The jail's that way. Where you taking me? I was going fairly fast on a straightaway and I nearly fucking stacked it up into a pole when I was scared shitless. I jerked the wheel and a little pee came out, I do admit. I pulled over and had to pace a few mins outside the car to calm down. So the guy was stuffed into my car by some other officer, and because he was drunk he just laid down on the floorboard, put his hoodie on and passed out. I woke him up by yanking and banking and slamming him into the doors of the car. Lol. I took him back to the club and no officer claimed him. So I just took the dude home and we left about it the whole way. I told him I totally peed. My brother is a Detroit cop, told me this one. They get a call from someone reporting their car was stolen. They show up and it turns out someone had already stolen the tires off the car. Then a different group stole the actual car. They pushed it to blocks without tires and left perfect grooves in the street all the way to their garage. Their defense was, "But we didn't steal the tires. Detroit, when we rob you, we really rob you." My boyfriend is a police officer. Last week he pulled over a drunk driver who ended up speeding off. Car chase back to his house and drunk guy tells him, "I got home. It's okay, you can go now." Drunk guy continues arguing and it's 3 a.m, so his family wakes up and his son steps out to the front porch and yells, "Damn it, Dad, you freaking idiot. We told you to stop doing this." Not a cop but a corrections officer. 2 inmates got into a fight in a hallway. I was the closest to them and only saw the start of the fight out of the corner of my eye. In my report I wrote that I saw the 2 inmates fall to the ground with name on top of other inmate. Later, the hearing sergeant was reading the report to one of the inmates, so they could dispute any facts in the report they felt were untrue or biased. He asked the inmate if they wanted to dispute any facts in my report. The inmate said, "Yeah, we didn't fall to the ground." I grabbed the other inmate and slammed his ass on the floor. What would have been a simple fighting charge turned into an assault charge. "Sir, can I see your driver's license?" "I don't have one." "Then why were you driving?" "I wasn't. I was traveling." My grandpa was a cop. He told me a story about how when he was still in uniform filling up his squad car, someone tried to rob him with a knife. Needless to say, that didn't work out for him. Added, some people were a bit confused. My grandpa just pulled his gun and arrested the man. Sorry for the confusion. Apparently it went something like this. "Robber, give me your wallet." "Grandpa." "What?" "Robber, give me your wallet." "Grandpa, are you sure you want to do that?" "Robber, yeah, now hand it over." "Grandpa, okay," pulls gun out. "You are under arrest." Robber, shocked face. Arrested a guy for shooting heroin in the parents' room of a shopping center. Walked in while he had the needle in his arm. We stare at each other for a bit. Then he comes out with, "I am a diabetic." I cuff him. Leave my partner to do the search while I read caution and writes, "Old mate is not diabetic and we know this, because he has got 87 prior convictions for use, possession, trafficking drugs." I go through the usual "you do not have to say or do anything" spiel, then say, "Do you understand these rights?" He is totally cooked on heroin at this point and he just looks at me and goes, "You want to get dinner tonight?" It's not the worst response. I have had to caution and writes though. Not a cop, but I used to read a lot of police reports at my old job. My favorite was a woman who refused a breathalyzer by telling the cop, "I won't blow on that, but I will blow on your dick." I stopped someone who was in the area of a load of theft from motor vehicles. After a bit of questioning I carried out a search and found numerous wallets, phones, etc. He claimed that all of the cards were his, all 13 different identities. To be fair, he stuck to his story. He carried it all the way to court going not guilty. Motor vehicle stop, license and registration please, proceeds to lean over to the passenger seat, scoop up a handful of lo mein, and tries to put it in the officer's hand. He was locked up for OUI 4th offense. To this day I still wonder if he thought he was passing his correct paperwork, or if the Chinese food was some sort of peace offering. My ex to the cop who pulled him and his friends over, "I am so fucking high right now." Dispatcher, had a guy call in and tell us that he is currently violating the protective order by being with his ex, who is pregnant by him. Wants us to call the judge and get it dismissed so they can go inside the restaurant and eat. Officer is standing next to my partner, who answered the call and asks the guys where he is so we can send the judge to him. Guy hangs up. In a city near to me, a guy murdered a woman, put her body in a large garment bag, and left her in a vacant lot. Unfortunately for him, he forgot to take the tags with his name and address off the bag from a recent flight. A would-be bank robber wrote his hold-up note and put it into his wallet. He got rattled at the bank and accidentally left his driver's license on the counter when he handed the note to a teller. A third crook just took on more than he could handle and apparently didn't watch the time. He had a long history of grand theft auto and was hospitalized after being badly beaten in the parking lot of a sports area after a lacrosse game. The guy swore up and down that he had no idea why anyone would assault him there. Dad's a detective. Had a murder case where a dog walker found a severed head in a park. Over the rest of the morning they found a full set of chopped up body parts around the park. A trail of blood led from each part, and they followed them all the way back to a nearby house, in through the door and up the stairs to a room covered in blood with a guy asleep in a bed. Turns out this guy had got drunk with a friend, had an argument, killed him, chopped him up and hid his body parts in the park before passing out back at the house. Police caught him literally red-handed. Apparently he was really confused how they got him so quickly. Stopped a lady for speeding 15 mph over the limit. I asked what her reason could be for going so fast. She said, "I live here. You can't give me a speeding ticket. I live just down the street. I live here. This is unbelievable. I live here." Not a police officer but a witness to a crime who had to give evidence in court. Basically witnessed a girl crashing her car and barrel rolling it into a tree. She was clearly drunk. The firemen arrived after 10 minutes. Her car had leaked petrol everywhere. Then her husband shows up on foot and tries to calm her down, followed by her mother in a car and the police. She tried to claim that she was not the one driving, even though no one else had been in the car. In court a year later, she said her mother had been driving, the one who showed up in her own car 10 minutes after the crash. She also punched an officer in the face and was pepper sprayed, but that's a whole other story. Needless to say, she was found guilty. There are so many to choose from, but one sticks out. Dude decides that his dildo no longer is doing the trick by itself, so he uses his creative liberty to construct an apparatus to enhance his experience. He takes his once boring old dildo and bolts it in an upright position on the top of his nightstand to create the Megatron of sex toys. Unfortunately for him and us, he found himself unable to disengage from his new toy. Evidently, the once pleasurable toy was now a torture device because his screams of agony were alarming, loud enough to get the attention of his neighbor, who called 911. After 10 minutes of unsuccessful attempts by police and EMS to remove homeboy from his device, we ultimately had to unbolt the toy from the nightstand and transport him to the hospital with the toy still intact. A buddy of mine was a campus PD officer back in college. I was convinced I could beat the sobriety test after a 6-pack, so I had him take me through it. I walked the line, touched my nose, and hopped on one foot. Then he asked me to say the alphabet backwards. I told him I could not do that sober. He said that sentence is probable cause for a blood test. That's how I learned that they are not just testing your motor skills. Not my story, but my police officer friends. He had gone in to arrest someone for dealing drugs. He was in full uniform, whilst someone else had already been in there undercover. The drug dealer looks at the undercover police officer and says, "You are undercover." "Yes, well done." He looks at my uniformed friend and says, "You are undercover too." He was not. Then he looks at someone else, not a police officer, and says, "And you?" Guy responds with, "How am I an undercover police officer? I just bought drugs off of you," and that's how they made an unexpected arrest at the raid. I am the guy that did something stupid. I was speeding while smoking a cigarette. Got pulled over. Had no ashtray in my car, but didn't want to be smoking when the officer came to my window. So I flicked it out my window, right in front of him. He actually let me pick it up. Littering is a $1,000 fine. I am not a smart man. I did that once. The cop looked at me and said, "Don't you have an ashtray?" I pointed to the hole in my console where the ashtray used to be and told him, "No. Some idiot stole it when they got the radio." He left and let me go. Not a cop, student paramedic here. Once went to a family with a 2-year-old with difficulty breathing. Walked into the house to find for people and the parents smoking weed with the baby in the room. Baby was crying and coughing, spluttering, could not believe my eyes. My mentor swiftly rang for police backup and we filled out some safeguarding paperwork concerns. Pretty sure they arrested them on scene for neglect. Suspect was caught for drug possession on the streets, and we were talking to the prosecutor to get a warrant for his house. Somehow, he managed to call his wife without our notice, and as we realized what happened, we heard him saying, "Honey, go take the fish out of the fridge." After we have got the warrant and searched his house, there was his fridge full of speed and the plate with fish, which his wife had prepared for his return, thrown in the trash. There used to be a show called America's Dumbest Criminals. I remember one in particular where a guy was pulled over for driving erratically. He jumps into the passenger seat and pulls a large stuffed animal to the driver's seat. You can hear the cop laughing and saying "what the fuck" before getting out and approaching the car. The guy rolls the window down and the cop asks him why he was driving like that, and his response was, "Ask him, he was the one driving," while pointing at the stuffed animal. Not an officer, just security. Many moons ago when in questioning, my cousin told police, "You don't have my fingerprints. I wore gloves." The confession is my own. Cop, you were going 95 miles an hour. Do you know what the speed limit is? Me, no. Cop, it's 55 miles per hour. Me, sorry sir, I thought it was a 65. Came in to be voluntarily arrested so he could be interviewed. Decided to bring his math pipe and math with him. Didn't get charged for what he came in for, but did get charged with possessed drugs and possessed paraphernalia. My friend's mom was a public defender and a client she was defending was guilty, but the only piece of evidence that identified him was a very distinct and unique necklace he refused to take off, so she told him to at least cover it up. Fucking genius. genius here decides to ignore her and leave it exposed, then he deserves whatever he got. I read a theft suspect her Miranda rights, to which she stated in a recorded interview, "I am invoking my right to silence and a lawyer, because I stole a lot of shit and I don't want to incriminate myself." Not a police officer, a probation officer, but one of my clients once texted me instead of his dealer. "Cop caught me with a half-pound of weed in my trunk. I panicked and my only response was, 'Oh, I am just dropping that off at a friend's.'" Not a cop, but one time my little brother ran away from the police after he was smoking pot in the woods. When the officer asked him why he ran, he, white blonde hair, blue eyes, said, "Have you seen the news lately? Black Lives Matter." My mom was a sergeant in the New York Police Department for 20 years, but there is always one story that stands out to me. She got a call that someone stole a TV from their apartment, so she drove down there and saw some guy walking down the street carrying a TV. She pulled over and confronted the guy, and he said, "Can't a brofa walk down the street at 2 in the morning carrying a TV without being harassed by the police?" He was promptly arrested and the TV was returned. Not a cop, but this reminds me of the story a few years ago of a bank in Canada being robbed. Description was to man in ski masks with strong Australian accents. From memory, they were the only Australians in that town, and they were also stupid enough to take photos of themselves with all the cash. Must have been the easiest case those cops ever solved. My friend is sober driving, and there is not enough seats, so two people offer to go in the boot. On the way, she gets pulled over and the officer comes up to the window and asks if she knows why he pulled her over. She says, "Because of the two people in my boot." The cop says, "No, because you failed to indicate at the last intersection, but tell me more about the people in your boot." Thanks for watching. Share your story in the comment.